What happens when a beloved daytime television host reaches her absolute breaking point with royal entitlement? In just 22 seconds, Prince Harry managed to destroy years of goodwill and get himself kicked off one of America's most respected talk shows. Last night, Tamron Hall did something no other host has ever dared to do. She looked a prince in the eye and told him to leave her studio. This is the exclusive inside story of the most explosive celebrity meltdown caught on live television. The atmosphere in Studio 4 was electric as Tamron Hall adjusted her earpiece and glanced at her notes one final time. The cameras were rolling in 60 seconds, and across from her sat Prince Harry, fidgeting with his microphone and checking his phone. This was supposed to be a friendly interview about his latest charitable initiative, but something felt off from the moment he walked into the building. Tamron had built her reputation on being fair but firm with her guests. She never backed down from tough questions, but she also treated everyone with respect. That morning, however, Prince Harry had already caused 3 separate incidents backstage. He had demanded that 2 of her production assistants be replaced because he did not like their questions during the pre-interview. He had refused to use the guest bathroom, insisting on using Tamron's private restroom instead. Most shocking of all, he had actually snapped his fingers at the makeup artist when she suggested a different powder shade. The floor manager held up 5 fingers, then 4, then 3. Tamron straightened her shoulders and looked directly into camera 1 with her signature warm smile. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Tamron Hall. I'm your host, Tamron, and today we have a very special guest joining us. Please welcome Prince Harry. The audience applauded politely as Prince Harry gave a half-hearted wave. Even from that first moment, viewers at home could sense the tension. His smile looked forced, and he kept glancing around the studio like he would rather be anywhere else. "Thank you for having me, Tamron," Prince Harry said, though his tone suggested he was doing her the favor. "It's wonderful to have you here. I know our audience is excited to hear about your new foundation and the incredible work you're doing to help veterans transition back to civilian life." Prince Harry shifted in his chair and looked annoyed. "Well, actually, I'd prefer to talk about my upcoming book instead. That's really why I'm here." Tamron blinked, clearly caught off guard. This was not what they had discussed. The entire interview had been planned around his charitable work, and her research team had prepared questions specifically about veteran support services. "Oh, I see. Well, we had agreed to focus on the foundation today, but we can certainly touch on your book as well. Can you tell our viewers about the Veterans Program and how it's making a difference?" Prince Harry waved his hand dismissively. "Look, Tamron, I think your viewers would be much more interested in hearing about my personal journey and the revelations in my book. The charity stuff is just, standard royal duty things." The audience stirred uncomfortably. Tamron's eyebrows raised slightly, but she maintained her professional composure. 20 years in television had taught her how to handle difficult guests, but this level of disrespect was something new. "Prince Harry, I have to say, referring to helping veterans as just standard duty is quite surprising. These are men and women who have served their countries and are struggling with real challenges." Right, of course," Prince Harry said, clearly irritated at being corrected. "But let's be honest, people tune in to hear about the real drama, the family conflicts, the behind-the-scenes royal secrets. That's what sells books, not boring charity work." A collective gasp could be heard from the studio audience. Tamron's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly, but her voice remained steady and professional. "I think you might be underestimating our audience, Prince Harry. They care deeply about meaningful causes and the people who dedicate their lives to service." Prince Harry laughed, but it was not a pleasant sound. "Come on, Tamron. You've been in this business long enough to know what gets ratings. Nobody wants to hear about some random soldiers when they could hear about what really went on behind palace doors." The temperature in the studio seemed to drop 10 degrees. Tamron leaned forward slightly, her eyes never leaving Prince Harry's face. "Those random soldiers, as you call them, include people who have lost limbs, who struggle with post-traumatic stress, who have difficulty finding jobs and housing when they return home. These are human beings with families who have sacrificed everything for their countries." Prince Harry rolled his eyes dramatically. "Obviously, I care about veterans, Tamron. I was in the military myself, remember? But we both know that's not why people are watching this show right now. They want the juicy details about my family, about the arguments, about who said what to whom." Tamron sat back in her chair, studying Prince Harry with a look that viewers would later describe as both disappointed and increasingly angry. The audience was completely silent now, sensing that something unprecedented was about to happen. "You know what, Prince Harry? I think there's been a fundamental misunderstanding about what this show represents and what our audience values. Look, no offense, but I've done dozens of these interviews. I know how to work a crowd. Just ask me about my stepmother or my brother, and watch your ratings soar." That was the moment everything changed. Tamron's expression shifted from professional disappointment to something much more serious. Her voice, when she spoke, was quiet but carried the weight of absolute authority. "Prince Harry, I need you to stop talking right now and listen to me very carefully." But Prince Harry was not finished. He was on a roll now, completely oblivious to the fact that he was digging his own grave with every word. "Tamron, I get that you have to pretend to care about all this charity stuff for your image, but your producers and I both know what's going to get clipped and shared on social media tomorrow. Nobody's going to remember anything about veterans, but they'll definitely remember if I tell them about the time my father—" "Stop!" Tamron's voice cut through his rambling like a blade. The single word carried such power that Prince Harry actually froze mid-sentence, his mouth hanging open. The studio fell into a silence so complete that viewers at home could hear the hum of the cameras. Tamron Hall sat perfectly still for 3 long seconds. Her eyes locked on Prince Harry with an intensity that made the prince visibly uncomfortable. When she finally spoke, her voice was calm, controlled, and absolutely devastating. "Prince Harry, in 20 years of hosting television shows, I have interviewed presidents, celebrities, criminals, and heroes. I have never, not once, had someone sit in that chair and show such blatant disrespect for the very people who have served and sacrificed for the freedoms that allow you to sit here today." Prince Harry opened his mouth to respond, but Tamron held up one finger, and somehow that simple gesture commanded complete silence. "You came into my studio today with an agenda that you failed to communicate to me or my team. You have been rude to my staff, dismissive of our agreed-upon topic, and now you have the audacity to call wounded veterans random soldiers while suggesting that I am only pretending to care about their welfare for my image." The cameras captured every micro-expression on Prince Harry's face as the reality of his situation began to dawn on him. His cocky demeanor was rapidly crumbling, replaced by something that looked suspiciously like panic. "Tamron, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I obviously didn't mean—" "Oh, but I think you meant exactly what you said." Tamron's voice remained steady, but there was steel underneath it now. "You told me that charity work is just standard royal duty. You called veterans random soldiers. You accused me of faking compassion for ratings. Which part of that was a misunderstanding?" Prince Harry shifted nervously in his chair, suddenly aware that the audience was staring at him with barely concealed disgust. "Look, I may have phrased things poorly, but I'm trying to promote my book here. Surely you understand that I need to give people what they want to hear." "What I understand," Tamron said, leaning forward with her elbows on her desk, "is that you fundamentally misunderstand what my audience wants to hear. They want to hear about hope, about people making a difference, about overcoming challenges. They don't want to watch someone exploit their family drama for profit while dismissing genuine heroism as boring." The prince's face was turning red now, whether from embarrassment or anger was unclear. "I don't think you realize who you're talking to, Tamron. I'm not just some celebrity guest you can lecture." And there it was, the moment that would be replayed millions of times across social media. Tamron Hall straightened in her chair, and when she spoke, her voice carried the full weight of her dignity and authority. "You're absolutely right, Prince Harry. You're not just some celebrity guest. You're someone who was born into incredible privilege, who has been given platforms that most people could never dream of, who has access to resources and opportunities that could change the world. And you're choosing to use all of that to sell books by trashing your family and dismissing the sacrifices of veterans." Prince Harry's mouth fell open. He was clearly not accustomed to being spoken to this way, especially not on live television in front of millions of viewers. "How dare you speak to me like that? Do you have any idea what I've been through? The attacks from the media, the lack of support from my family, the—" "Stop right there." Tamron's voice cracked like a whip. "Do not sit in my studio and complain about media attacks to someone who has spent her entire career dealing with criticism and prejudice. Do not talk to me about lack of family support when there are veterans sitting at home right now who haven't spoken to their families in years because of trauma you just dismissed as boring." The audience began to murmur, and it was not in support of Prince Harry. Several people were shaking their heads, and one woman near the front was visibly upset. "I think you need to remember where you are and who you're talking to," Prince Harry said, his voice rising with indignation. "I am a Prince of England, and I deserve a basic level of respect." Tamron stood up slowly, and the gesture was so powerful that the entire studio fell silent again. When she spoke, her words were measured and deliberate. "Prince Harry, respect is earned, not inherited. You walked into my studio today and disrespected my staff, dismissed our agreed-upon topic, insulted veterans, and accused me of being fake. You have shown no respect for anyone in this room, including the audience members who took time out of their day to be here." Prince Harry was sputtering now, his composure completely gone. "This is outrageous. I came here as a favor to you, and this is how you treat me? My representatives are going to hear about this." "I'm sure they will," Tamron replied calmly. "And when they do, I hope you'll be honest with them about how this conversation actually went." The prince shot to his feet, his face now bright red. "I don't have to sit here and be insulted by some daytime television host who thinks she's more important than she actually is." The entire studio gasped audibly. It was the kind of moment that television producers dream about and hosts dread, the instant when a guest reveals their true character for everyone to see. Tamron remained standing, but her voice dropped to almost a whisper, which somehow made it more powerful than if she had shouted. "You're absolutely right, Prince Harry. You don't have to sit here. In fact, I think it would be best for everyone if you didn't." Prince Harry blinked, suddenly realizing what was happening. "Wait, what are you saying?" "I'm saying that this interview is over. I'm asking you to leave my studio." The words hung in the air like a physical presence. No one in the audience moved. The camera operators continued filming, capturing every second of this unprecedented moment in television history. "You can't be serious," Prince Harry stammered. "You can't just kick me off your show." Tamron's smile was small but absolutely unwavering. "Prince Harry, this is my show, in my studio, with my name on it. I absolutely can ask you to leave, and that's exactly what I'm doing." Prince Harry looked around desperately, as if expecting someone to come to his rescue, but the audience was staring at him with a mixture of shock and disapproval, and Tamron's production team was clearly supporting their host. "This is ridiculous. Do you have any idea what this is going to do to your career? I have connections, influence, people who will make sure you regret this." And with those words, Prince Harry sealed his fate completely. Tamron's expression didn't change, but something shifted in the atmosphere of the studio. "Are you threatening me, Prince Harry? On live television, in front of all these witnesses?" The prince seemed to realize he had gone too far, but it was far too late to take back what he had said. That's not what I meant. I just meant that." "Security," Tamron said quietly, never taking her eyes off Prince Harry. "Please escort our guest out of the building." Two security guards appeared so quickly, it was clear they had been waiting just off camera. Prince Harry looked around the studio one more time, his expression a mixture of shock, anger, and dawning humiliation. "This isn't over, Tamron. You'll regret this." "The only thing I regret," Tamron replied as the security guards approached, "is that it took this long for someone to hold you accountable for your behavior." As Prince Harry was escorted toward the studio exit, he turned back one final time. "You have no idea who you're messing with." Tamron waited until he was completely out of the studio before turning back to face the cameras. Her composure was perfect, her voice steady and professional. "We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be talking with Sarah Martinez, a veteran who started a nonprofit organization helping military families find affordable housing. She's doing incredible work, and I think you'll be inspired by her story." The audience erupted in applause that lasted until the camera stopped rolling.